Hey, welcome back. All right, I know 2 weeks, you've been waiting, you've been betting. Chances are that you were sitting over a bet for about a week thinking, I'm not going to play this. And just because of lack of anything else to bet on, at least football related, you probably have about 20, 25 Super Bowl bets. That's fine. Maybe you don't have any Super Bowl bets and you just wanted to wait for Walt from Walter Football or Eytan from Odd Shopper to come in and have a conversation. So we always appreciate you rolling. We'll tell you all about walterfootball.com and what you can do with Odd Shopper. But first and foremost, Walt, how you doing, man?
Feels good. I hope you're doing well. It feels like forever since we've had this last game. I don't know if it's because we both have two kids now, and
That's
every day feels like
exactly
an
it.
eternity sometimes. But it feels like the last football game we had was like a month ago. So I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Can't believe it's coming up in a few hours.
Now, did you have, and I'm not asking from, week 3 or anything like that, although you guys do fantastic work when it comes to futures right down to the NFL draft, but did you at least from the conference championship games have this matchup in the Super Bowl?
So I had we had the Lions winning the game, and I had the Lions back in like February at 33-1 to win the Super Bowl. And
Nice.
it was such a gut punch the NFC Championship, because they had a 17-point lead, all the screw ups possible, like the fourth down drop by Josh Reynolds. And you're like, as soon as that happened, I'm like, uh-oh. And then like the next, like 2 plays later, they had that bounce off the helmet into Brandon Ayuk's hands. I'm like, oh man, we're probably gonna lose this one now. And then even though the Lions still had the lead, and then like the first play in the next possession, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles, the Niners score again. And then on the next drive, Sam Laporta drops a pass, Josh
Right.
Reynolds drops a pass on third down. It's like anything that could go wrong went wrong for the Lions. It's such a shame. I felt like devastated, even though like the Lions plus 7.5 was like our biggest play of the playoffs. And we hit that at the end with the backdoor cover. It
Nice.
still felt like a loss. I was still so devastated. I had my friend Tom, he
Yeah.
texted me after the game. He's like, well, at least you covered. I'm like, man, I've never been so upset about winning a bet in my life. It's
Right.
terrible.
Did you even live hedge that futures ticket knowing that you had 7.5 in play?
See, that's the worst thing. Is like I was putting my son to bed at halftime, and so in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hedge with the Niners money line, like right now in second half. And I just completely forgot, because to read all these books to my son. By the time
Dude.
Mama Llama misses Mama for the 20th time in a row, I can't remember these things, and I just completely forgot to hedge it. So it's just a double loss for me.
3 straight nights I have missed the start time for DFS and NBA simply because of that. Can we read this book? I'm reading a lobster book to my kid for the 50th time and realizing that, oh, I forgot to set an alarm. One time I did set an alarm and it woke him up. So I stopped doing that. And now look at it. So it's the kids. Walt, you were right from the jump. It's the kids. We're going to blame the kids. All right.
Yeah. I have to blame the kids. Yeah, it's like I've given up on regular NBA DFS. I only do night slates now. I
Nice.
just can't do it. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm down to showdown at this point.
Mhm.
I can't play any more than one game at a time, and that's mainly just because I feel like my odds are better to at least split or
Yeah.
something like that. Let's look at this, bro. Let's look at what we have here. I'm eagerly anticipating what you have in this game. But look, let's start here because I think this will be interesting for everybody out there. Again, hit the thumbs up button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you are on, and we'll tell you all about what's going on walterfootball.com, especially leading up to the NFL draft. My goodness, you're going to make a ton of money thanks to Walt and Charlie, a couple of other guys over there. But what's different for you? And forget the props for a second, forget the octopus or the Gatorade or Reba McIntyre's over under, all of that other stuff. Just the game itself. Is there anything different as far as how you approach betting this game, knowing like, okay, maybe the money doesn't mean as much because you have so many different people, or the fact that maybe the total didn't move much at all? Like, what changes for you in your approach, if anything, on the Super Bowl?
I think like a lot of what we do during the regular season and the playoffs sometimes is like look at key numbers,
Yeah.
try to get the 3 and the 7, 6. Like those are the 3 most likely results of any NFL game. 14 being the 4th most likely. Like we don't have that in the Super Bowl. It's basically a pick 'em. Like Chiefs are 1.5 point or 2 point underdogs at this point. So you're really it's almost straight up, which is like I feel like even more difficult than usual, because like I said, the Lions plus 7.5 was our biggest bet for the playoffs. and like getting every single key number with Detroit was just enormous. Like they were such an underrated team, but now we don't get any key numbers, and like maybe the Niners win by 1, and you still win with the Chiefs plus 1.5 or 2. But it's like picking games straight up is just a bit different, and you really have to rely more on matchups and not just getting within the key numbers.
All right, let's look at it here. We have one game. We're down to it. Trust me when I say this out there to you, not trust me to Walt, but to you all out there watching. We have plays. We have props. We have wild stuff. In fact, I don't know what Walt has. Walt doesn't know what I have. So this is all going to be live reaction to just how crazy or wacky we can get. I'm going to say that I single played, same game parlays don't count. But before we get into the game real quick, I'm not going to tell you what it is till we get there, but I'm going to say I have the longest. I'm going to bet that I have the longest shot single play between us.
You're probably right. I only bet like over under rushing or receiving totals. So I imagine you do. I do have an MVP bet for the Super Bowl that's 140 to 1, but I don't think that really counts as a real prop though. But yeah, we'll get to it.
It does, because mine's only 80 to 1. So look at that. All right, nice. Let's look at the game first, because that's the immediate where we'll go immediately after the game. I imagine that your MVP is going to be on the side that you pick, right?
Yeah, all three. I have 3 MVP bets. All 3 are on the side that I'm picking. So I'm kind of curious to hear what you have for your side, because, like you said, we don't know what each other's picking at this point. So I don't know. Is that Chiefs money line that you put in?
It is. It is. Now, again, depending on where you see, if it's 2.5, you might be able to get plus 110. It's going to be even money or plus 110 range by all means. Look, I just have the Chiefs winning this game. I think experience, the fact that your quarterback knows what that halftime is like, knows what the lights are, knows what this pressure means. And it's no knock on Brock Purdy. I don't want to go full Eagles fan on people here, Walt, but I just don't. I think there is something to that, the experience level. And I'll add this, that extra week of play for the Chiefs really is an advantage, in my opinion, as far as momentum. It's more like the Niners surviving 2 games versus the Chiefs now having that extra game, more like a pinball where you pull back and then let it go, as opposed to just taking that first step. So look, we've got numbers, we've got trends, we've got all other things, but I'll just start there with the Chiefs on the money line.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs as well. It's Chiefs plus 100 on the money line. A bookmaker right now, you can get Chiefs plus 1 plus 100. So it's like a little bit of an edge there. So yeah, I'm on Kansas City as well. I think the week off really helps them. Like Andy Reid with the week off, like spread wise hasn't done as well because the numbers have been so inflated. But he's 14-5 straight up with the Chiefs after a week off. Includes the playoffs. So giving him more time to prepare is a huge edge. Like Kyle Shanahan's a really good coach, although he's choked in big moments, but Andy Reid's on another level. And in fact, with like Bill Belichick gone, I think you have to say Reid is the best coach in the NFL right now.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I think the Chiefs match up well with the Niners too. Tony Romo said it during the AFC Championship, but Patrick Mahomes just eats up zone defenses, and the Niners have played man defense only 142 snaps of the year. So like it's all zone for them, and feels like Patrick Mahomes should just shred this defense kind of like he did against Baltimore, which is such a shame because I love the Lions. I would love the Lions in this matchup because they play so much man. But yeah, we have Mahomes here. The Chiefs shut down number 1 receivers. So I don't think Brandon Ayuk's can do much. I have a problem on that. The Chiefs have allowed the 3rd fewest receiving yards to tight ends, so George Kittle should be covered up pretty well. Now, the Chiefs are weaker to the run than the pass, but I think they have good personnel. Like they've allowed their big rushing games when they've been missing players during the regular season. So I think they're going to be a little bit better against the run. It's still going to be tough to stop McCaffrey, but if they have the lead, McCaffrey's not going to be as impactful as runners. So you have that too. So yeah, I like the Chiefs. So I'm glad we're on the same side.
Yeah, me too. And I think the biggest thing we've seen over the past couple of years, maybe to a little less of an extent this year, but it seems like every year the Chiefs, you can run on the Chiefs, but there's someone like bottom 3rd as far as rush attempts against the Chiefs. And I think a lot of that factors into what you said, where teams are down 7 points in a game and they abandon the run because they think, I got to keep up with Mahomes. I got to keep up with this offense. We need to get points. We need to get points. And you move away with what can work. And I think you're exactly right. Kyle Shanahan, even down 7, would start to look to get more of a passing game involved and try to force something, especially if it's to a Kittle or Ayuk, who I agree that like downfield threat versus and Kittle in the middle, you're probably going to get swallowed up more often than not. You mentioned Reed with a day of rest. Let me add these in here for you. Reed's 5-0 straight up against the spread as a dog of fewer than 5 points when having an added week of rest. Mahomes, we all know, 12-0 against the spread away from Arrowhead. And how about this? I don't know how much you put into this. The last 6 number 1 seeded favorites in the Super Bowl are 0-6 straight up against the spread. And let me sprinkle one more in here for you. Kyle Shanahan, 0-3 in his career straight up against the spread against Andy Reid.
It's pretty good. I like that all the trends are on our side. I love the matchups here. By the way, the Niners are pretty bad against the run too. You wouldn't know it from looking at the regular season stats, just looking at the rushing yards, but they've been up so much against bad teams that the teams just haven't been able to run on them. But we saw in the playoffs, the Packers, Aaron Jones had 100 yards. The Lions ran all over them. And so I think that Isaiah Pacheco should have a good game. I love that we're on the Chiefs together. I think that also something else to consider is that, people like to say, I've heard this from people like the Niners saying that the Chiefs were bad in the regular season. They got lucky in the playoffs. I think they were bored during the regular season, if anything. Like Travis Kelce, like if you just look at his numbers, you're like, oh, this guy's over the hill, but he's caught fire in the playoffs. And I think it's just he was distracted and just not really into these games. And I think that really kind of festered in the locker room. A lot of players drop passes, but we haven't seen that in the playoffs. The Chiefs have been a lot sharper. And the Niners, like everyone remembers that Sunday night game they had against Dallas. Like they looked like the best team in the NFL. That sticks out in everyone's memory. Since that game, they're 5-9 against the spread. The 5 teams they've covered against were the Jaguars, who imploded down the stretch, the Eagles, who imploded down the stretch.
Yep.
The Seahawks on that Thanksgiving game where Geno Smith was injured and we didn't even know if he was going to play. The other 2 games were against Arizona and Washington, 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Those are their 5 covers since that game. They've been overrated. If you look at the divisional round, they're favored at 10.5 against the Packers. That was way too much. 7.5 is way too much against the Lions. I still think they're inflated here, even though we're not getting key numbers. I think the Chiefs should be favored by a point or 2. So I think we're getting a good number as well.
All right, you're reading my mind here. Before we get to walterfootball.com and some crazy, we'll get you player props before we go crazy, by all means. Oh, we have to hit the MVP from Walt that's going to correlate with the Chiefs. Any interest in pushing this alt spread -2.5 or -6?
Yeah, -2.5 is great. I think 3 is the most likely result. My projected score is 24-21. So I think I would rather take that than the money line. If you're going to go even further up, I think -5.5 is the best because 6 is such a key number, especially these days when teams, if they're down 14, they score a touchdown, they go for 2 a lot. If you get -5.5, I think that's worth taking as well.
All right, let's look at this here. MVPs. I'm just going to give people a little glimpse of who you can bet the entire board that we have. And now for a full glimpse, if we can, of what's happening here on walterfootball.com. You've got draft prospects up there. You've got picks against the spread for both the Super Bowl, the NBA. You guys are doing a ton on here by all means. And look, we should not gloss over the fact that it's about to be Charlie time come the NFL draft.
I know we're already excited about it. Tom and I did a video on Saturday or Thursday on the After Dark show. We spent like 20 minutes talking about the amount of money we made last year. Like every single prop we bet for the NFL draft hit except for one. We hit some like 18-1 shots, like 20 something to 1 shots. I even text you the Lions are going to take Hendon Hooker on day 2, but not with the first pick. So you have to wait it out, but they eventually did. So I mean, Charlie is the master at talking to people. I don't know how he does it. He talks to everyone in the NFL. They tell him what to bet. We haven't had some sources tell us like, hey, don't publish these props until Thursday morning. It was like two teams specifically asked them not to do that. So it was great. And I can't wait for this draft coming up in 2.5 months.
No, I can't wait either. We'll have to do a draft show and just pimp what you guys are doing by all means and get some not everything out because we want people to go to the site as well. All right, my friend, you ready? Let's look at this here.
Yeah.
We've got a long list of them. Let's build up. All right. Don't give me the 180. Was it 180 to 1? And again, DraftKings, we're on DK just for the UI. So by all means, shop. You can go to oddshopper.com and find the best lines, and then go to walterfootball.com and get the best promo for whatever book has the best lines. See? That's how we work together here. Let's start with chalk up to ridiculous long shot for you in the MVP.
Yeah, so I would avoid the quarterbacks. There's just no value there. Like Mahomes is the favorite to win MVP, and for good reason. But I think there might be some voter fatigue with him. He won regular season MVP last year and Super Bowl MVP. So I think unless he has an amazing game, I don't think he's going to do it. So I'm reluctant to go there. The first one I want to go to is Travis Kelce at 12-1. He's on DraftKings. He was 17-1 on FanDuel. I got that then last week. I think he's down to 14-1 on FanDuel now.
I just wrote about him today. That's great. I love it. We're on the same page here. He's still 14-1 last we checked.
Yeah, so I think that's a great number, because if it's not Mahomes, I think it's almost certainly going to be Kelce. He's been on fire in the playoffs. He's focused. He's catching everything. If he catches a couple touchdowns, I think they give it to him. You know, the whole narrative with Taylor Swift and everything. Like, I think it's just like he's such a lock. I think if it's not Mahomes, and Mahomes hasn't been statistically great this year. I think he's been amazing, just getting this team here despite like all the troubles in regular season. Actually would have made him MVP, because like he's basically dragged this team like kicking and screaming into the Super Bowl. But Kelce statistically has been the best DFS play past 3 weeks for the Chiefs, and I think he's definitely the guy if you don't take Mahomes.
All right. I'm going to guess your second guy, and then I can't wait to hear. Third guy has to be on defense, unless it's like Justin Watson. But again, second guy, middle guy, I'm going to guess it's Pacheco because of his ability to get on the ground and possibly get 2, maybe even 3 TDs with a goal line carry in there.
Yeah, it's exactly Isaiah Pacheco. He's 25-1 on DraftKings. He was 35-1 on FanDuel. I don't know what the current number is. That was last week, or no, that was Tuesday. I got him at 35-1. This could be a low scoring Super Bowl. Both these defenses are good. What if this is like a 20-17 grinder and the only 2 touchdowns are by Pacheco? Like, he's definitely going to win MVP unless there's some sort of crazy defensive performance, like 6 sacks or something like that. But Pacheco has an easy way to get there if he's the only guy scoring touchdowns for the winning team.
So I think you can almost handcuff this, right, to where you could build, like if you're betting Pacheco at MVP, which I love, and again, I think it's Kelce, we're exactly on the same page of this, which means that, you know, the Niners going to win by 30 and all this other crap. But no, I love the Pacheco thing because he's not doing it without getting in the end zone, to your point. Like, he has to be. He's not going to do it with 120 yards and maybe, 40 more receiving yards, but 1 touchdown or maybe not even in the end zone. So I think the MVP bid comes from scoring. He's plus 470 for 2 touchdowns. It's watered down. I understand that. 28, and I'm on FanDuel, 28-1 for Pacheco here. I'll show you this one. Pacheco plus 470 plus 28-1. Look, I think the bet here, Walt, is him winning the MVP. But I also think that these would correlate, much like with Travis Kelce, mind you, where a 2 TD game for Travis Kelce, hell, even 3. And to be fair, this is now 18 minutes into the show before we first mentioned Taylor Swift. But, Taylor's there and Kelce seems to step up. So it's like a tag, right? Like, you just laid out this beautiful thing. And I'm like, okay, let me add this on there at the end. And I think there's some value knowing that those would correlate 2/3+ TDs and these guys winning the MVP.
Yeah, they definitely correlate. On the Thursday show, I do an After Dark show on Thursday on YouTube. I was asked by like one of the listeners to look at the 2 touchdown props, and I'm like, these numbers are okay, but like I'd rather just bet them to win MVP. Like, if you bet Pacheco to score 2 touchdowns, he's plus 470. But like, why not just bet him to win an MVP at 25 or 35-1? So I think it just makes more sense. I don't like the odds for 2 touchdowns. They just seem like pretty low. Yep. Yeah, the Kelce one's okay, but still, you're getting a much better number for MVP.
Yeah, and I think for me, and look, if it's one or the other, I 1,000% agree. I think if you're going to stretch out a little bit, you can sprinkle and almost build like a MVP type ladder. But I would not play the touchdowns without first putting the bigger emphasis on the MVP. Just to be clear there. All right, you got a long shot here. Dre Greenlaw? I mean, who could this be?
It's Kadarius Toney. No, just kidding. It's Actually, I don't mind Kadarius Toney for.
You should have let that linger for a little bit, man.
I couldn't. I think people would stop watching if I did.
Fair enough.
It's Chris Jones. He's 100-1 here. He was 140-1 on FanDuel on Tuesday. He's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He's maybe, except for Aaron Donald, the best defensive tackle in the league. He could have a monster game, and the Niners don't block in the interior very well. They have Trent Williams on the outside. He's the best left tackle in football, but their guards and centers are not good. And it seems like a matchup where he could dominate. And I'm thinking, like, what if this is a Panthers-Broncos type Super Bowl where there's not much scoring and really, like, the only big plays happen in the trenches and Jones gets a turnover, if he gets the touchdown and there's no other touchdowns, he's definitely going to win it. But, like, what if he gets, like, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, he recovers a fumble, and it's like a 13-10 game or something like that. I think he's definitely in the running to an MVP. And, like, someone that good, he's 110-1 there. I think that he's pretty undervalued. Even the 110-1, like I got 140-1. I still think 110-1 is pretty good. Nick Bosa looks like the only guy, defensive player, who's higher at 85-1. But like if you compare him to other players, like I just think that you're getting a good number with him.
Yeah, especially his ability to just dominate and wreak havoc on a game for sure. And 110-1, you already see the difference. DK dipping, and he's already caught some steam for your 140-1. That's a good play, man. I like it. I was curious to see where you were going with that. So we've got Jones in there as the MVP. Okay, I'm going to throw one out at you. It's Kansas City over 23.5 team total. I think you're on board because you have this game 24-21.
Yeah, barely getting there. But yeah, I think I definitely like that over. I think there's more of a chance that they do that. Now I think that if they get like 17 or 20 in the first half, I think I would definitely hedge there in the second half because the Chiefs are like they're, for some reason, they do all the scoring in the first half or second half. Like if they score like 20 points in the first half, they're going to get like 6 in the second half. They just like sit on the ball. They have these like 8-minute drives where like nothing happens. They suck all the life out of the game. Like not a fun team to watch at all. Like they used to be with Tyreek Hill. They used to be this like high flying offense, and like they're not anymore. They're just like this grinded out defensive team that runs the ball so much and just throws 10-yard passes to Travis Kelce. So I'd try to like hedge with an under if they get like 20 or something in the first half. But if they get like 3 or something in the first half, I would definitely bet the Chiefs in the second half just because they do so well in halves in just one half of games. And like this is not just this year; this is going back several years. I think ever since Tyreek Hill left. I remember the Chiefs Bengals AFC Championship where the Chiefs got out to a huge lead. This is 2 years and not the last one. And they just didn't score after that. And the Bengals eventually caught them and went to overtime and won. This is like 2 years ago that they were doing this. And for some reason, it keeps on happening. So just something to be mindful of when, don't want to watch. I'm not going to try to watch Usher in the second half. I'm going to try to like devise some bets to make it halftime. And like, that's something that I'm going to look at.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. I've got one here for you. I don't even know. I was trying to look at this right now as you were talking, but I was going to wait knowing that these are kind of longer shot bets. But I just want to jam them in real quick before we start talking about some other player props, because I think we've already painted a story here that both of these props could hit. Now, look, they're 45-1, 80-1, McCaffrey, Pacheco, respectively, for a reason, Walter. But when you talk about this could be a lower scoring game and how both running backs could actually have their way and how you're looking at 8-minute drives by the Chiefs in the second half, it's the same play, 2 different guys. McCaffrey, 8+ rushes within a quarter twice is 45-1. Put a little small sprinkle on that. And the same play for Pacheco, 8+ carries within a quarter twice is 80-1. Look, do I think that either one of these are truly going to happen? No, but I think the storyline, like this wouldn't take a 7-3 football game. This wouldn't take something like totally abnormal. You could still have a competitive game, but it wouldn't shock anybody for both of these running backs to really just be a major focus. I think especially because people are looking at, Mahomes and even Brock Purdy and saying, yeah, throw, going over 47.5. So that's my craziness. I was going to save it for a little bit, but you brought up like 4 points that I thought I could tag that with, at least with those 2 plays.
I like it. I see. I don't think both are going to hit, but I think there's a good chance one of them hits. And if one of them hits, like you're going to make a lot of money on it, and
That's it.
that's
You
what
just need
it
one.
takes. Right, you just need one exactly, and like they're both not going to hit because like the team that has the lead is going to be running the ball more often, so the team that's trailing is going to be throwing more. But if it's the Chiefs, they're just going to feed it to Pacheco. If the Niners are up, then they're just going to feed it to McCaffrey. So I
Yep.
think you have a good chance of hitting one of them.
What's your favorite prop, player prop? What's your even if it's a game prop, like just not crazy yet, but what's your, even though I just opened the door, so do whatever you want, but what's your favorite player prop that you have?
I mean, we're gonna stick with the running backs. Isaiah Pacheco over 66.5 rushing yards.
Nice.
It seems so simple, but I mean, he's gotten there in all three playoff games, and now he's going against the Niners defense that is pretty bad against the run. If you look at the metrics, like they're in the 20s of EPA against the run. So we both like the Chiefs to win this game, and so that means Pacheco is going to be running the ball more in the second half. Like I said, they just like to suck the life out of games. So I have a tough time seeing Pacheco not getting to 70 plus rushing yards. Like I would even look at like alt numbers like 85 plus or whatever. But yeah, I think that he definitely gets there. What do you think about that?
I love it. I love it. Now, look, I'm holding this ticket from the start of the playoffs. He's 18-1 to lead the postseason in rushing. So I just need him to not get outgained by like 80 yards by McCaffrey. But I'm with it. Like, I'm not even, to your point, I probably should in some regard, and maybe I will if I was thinking, because Pacheco was hurt, but he's off the injury report. He's got a great matchup. This has moved up a couple of yards already. No, I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. And the matchup itself is fantastic. And look, you can appreciate this more than anybody else watching because you spent decades, 14 years like I did, watching Andy Reid neglect guys like Brian Westbrook and others. And like he will not neglect Pacheco. Like those days are over, I think. And if he has reason to run Pacheco lead, it's working, what have you, he'll stick with that. And that's what I think always helps a guy like Pacheco in this offense, which is, and you don't even have McKinnon out there. I know you have Clyde Edwards, right? But yeah, this makes so much sense to me. I love that you hit that.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of experience watching Andy Reid just not run the ball. But yeah, he's definitely changed, and whatever neglect he had toward the running game that shifted to Baltimore for some reason. Like the Ravens, for some reason in that last game didn't run the ball at all, and it's funny that Andy Reid was the one running the ball so much. So he's changed for the better, and with Belichick on, like I said, he's the best coach in the league right now.
I'm telling you, man, teams fall apart when they take on the Chiefs in the playoffs. They just remove their own identity. Whatever worked when they got there, especially if it's the run game, they turn into completely different human beings. It's uncanny seeing this happen here to the Chiefs. The only actually time that I saw that work was the Eagles last year, where teams were starting to do that against the Eagles last year because Hurts and this team would get up so big, those huge second quarters, and it would just translate into teams kind of abandoning what they've done. Let me hit you with this real quick. It's up to 3.5 right now. So shout out to Odd Shopper in the Discord and all that, because we gave this out at 2.5. Now, granted, it was juiced, but we knew it was going to move over 2.5, not 3.5, over 2.5 rushing attempts for Brock Purdy. He's gone over this number comfortably in the last 2 games. You talk about this Chiefs pass rush. Could be some sacks in there, but also could be Purdy just having to move out of necessity. I don't think 3 carries in this game is out of the norm by any means. Now, again, I laid about 160 on this, but now looking to see the only place you can bet this, or the only market you can get this, is over 3.5.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, it on one hand, like you might think, oh, this doesn't correlate with our Chiefs winning the game because you don't get those kneel downs at the end, but at the same time, I think it does, because if the Chiefs are up, I think Brock Purdy is more likely to scramble out of pressure. Like I said, I think Chris Jones can dominate the interior, and that could just force Brock Purdy out of the pocket and have him scramble. Quarterbacks are more likely to scramble in the playoffs, like especially if they're mobile, because that's it. Like this is like the pinnacle of his career right now. Like he has to win this game, and so he's going to do whatever it takes. Yeah, I like that a lot. Over 3.5 seems like that should be pretty easy.
All right, what else you got here? Player prop related. Hit me with another one here, Walt.
I'm going to give you 2 Brock Purdy ones. Brock Purdy under 1.5 passing touchdowns. On Tuesday, it was plus 100 on BetMGM. He has multiple touchdowns in just one of his past 4 games, and I say past 4 because that's the span in which, like, it was after that Christmas game against the Ravens where he imploded.
Yep.
He just hasn't played that well since then. Like, I know he's had some nice moments and everything like that, but as a whole, he just hasn't played well overall. Like, he's been so lucky not to be intercepted a lot, and that brings me to the next one, which is Brock Purdy over half an interception. Minus 120 at BetMGM. He could have thrown so many interceptions in the playoffs. Like, I know he has already, but the Packers dropped 2. The Lions had the 1 hit off the helmet. Just feels like he's gonna throw at least 1 pick, maybe even 2. So I think he definitely gets there. So yeah, I'm definitely bearish on Purdy in this game.
All right, I love it. I'm going to stretch it one more Purdy prop here.
Nice.
I'm trying to create a quasi middle, if you will. But I got it at even money, and I thought it was worth a look here. Purdy under 12.5 rushing yards.
Okay, yeah, it's I mean, yeah, you're gonna be hoping that those carries are kneel downs, I guess, but like,
well, no. But I think, well, yes, to an extent, right? But I also think, getting out of pressure and getting like 2 to 3 yards and just getting above the line of scrimmage, past the line of scrimmage, is the plan here. Now, to be fair, this is me trying to create a middle. I did put a half unit on this, and the full unit clearly came on the rushing attempts. 14 yards off 6 carries against the Packers. Now, he had that huge 21-yarder against the Lions, so that, of course, is going to bump him up. But I'm just banking on the fact that he's not going to get that big open play and try to create this, again, quasi-middle here. It's not my favorite. That's why I left it there kind of at the bottom one. I have one more I'll throw at you in a minute. But since we're on the Purdy train, I thought I would just throw it out there.
Yeah, I think my contrarian brain likes that play because, like, everyone saw him have that 21-yard scramble, and so everyone's going to be like, oh, he's definitely going to hit the over. He had a 21-yard run. Like, that's all it takes. So yeah, I think I would go under, but I do like your over 3.5 rushing attempts more than that.
All good. All right, so let's look at. Do you have any more player props you want to get out before we get a little crazy here?
I have a few more. The Chiefs tight ends. So I have both of them get over receptions. I have Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions. The juice was pretty high. It's minus 140 at Caesars. That's the best number I saw on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's changed. And Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions at minus 110. I think that the Chiefs, Mahomes is just going to attack the middle of the field here. Kelce has been on fire in the playoffs, like we talked about it for his Super Bowl bet. But Mahomes has been relying on Noah Gray a lot. In the past 2 games, Gray has had 5 catches. And he's someone that, could catch a touchdown. Like, I think betting his anytime touchdowns not the most insane thing. I haven't done it, but I think that you could do it. But over 1.5 receptions, it seems like he should get there. Like, I think he's going to get 2 or 3 catches in this game. So, and then the other one I have is Brandon Ayuk under 63.5 receiving yards, minus one. The best vig I saw on Tuesday is minus 110 on FanDuel.
Well, real quick, he's already down to 59.5 on DK.
Wow. Yeah, that was really bet down. I got 63.5. I still like 59.5. The Chiefs are so great at defending number 1 receivers. L'Jarius Sneed is just out of this world at clamping them down. And so some could argue, like, won't they deem Deebo Samuel to be the number 1 receiver? But like, he lines up all over the field. Like, he'll get carries. Like, I think it's harder to take Deebo Samuel out of the game than it is Brandon Ayuk. So I think that the Chiefs are really going to stick to Ayuk. The Chiefs are great at defending deep passes. I don't think Ayuk's going to have a good game at all. I have a Ayuk Rainmaker card I'm actually trying to get rid of, and like no one will buy it. So I think people are thinking the same thing here. So yeah, I like Ayuk under. So that's it. That's all I have for the player props. I have one more thing that we can talk about too.
Yeah, let me throw this in here because I think this correlates too. Under 16.5 rushing. Some places I did see it move to 17.5. I don't know if it's back down to 16.5 for Deebo Samuel. I think the 2 big things I look at, you just laid it out with Brandon Ayuk. Nothing to add there. He's going to be phased out of the game entirely. And also, we have the Chiefs up. Like, we have the Chiefs. So that doesn't mean Deebo Samuel is out of the game, but it should trend towards less rushes and more just get him the ball quick passes, quick throws, moving him around the field, trying to get him quick behind the line or in front of the line, depending on where he's moving, crossing field, just getting him quick out screens, if you will, all the things that they can do to be creative to getting him the football without it being a run. Because I think if they're moving away from McCaffrey, they sure as hell are going to move away from Deebo Samuel. So I took the under 16.5. Right.
Yeah, it's a good point. It has to correlate with what you think about the game. Obviously,
Yep.
like if they're up, then yeah, Debo might go over. In fact, I think if the Niners win, I think Debo to win MVP is a pretty good bet, but I'm not going to go down that road. I think that Samuel receiving yards I think is pretty interesting too. I've heard good arguments on both sides. Like I couldn't like decide what I wanted, so I just didn't bet it. But I could see him getting there. Like the Chiefs aren't like they're not a great tackling team. So that's my one concern about the rushing yards. Like Debo could have just not too many carries, but he could have like one long gain, and just because he's going to break a lot of carries break a lot of tackles that way. But in general, I think you're probably on the right side with the under 16.5.
All right, let's remind everybody real quick before we get crazy and let people enjoy the remaining time before the Super Bowl actually kicks off. Not only are you covered across the board for everything at walterfootball.com, like picks, NFL, NBA, NFL draft, Charlie is the guy you want to be following. Do not place a wager on the NFL draft without coming to walterfootball.com and checking out what Charlie has in his draft, his plays, mocks leading up to it. And you can jump in. Like we tell you where we're playing these bets and what have you. Walt has an entire sheet full of promos. So you can, if it's BetMGM, bet 5, get 158 back. If it's Bet365, if you're in Indiana or Arizona now, where you have the new opportunity, Bet365 kills it. It pains me, Walt, that we're in PA and that we have to drive over the bridge in Jersey to get these amazing odds. It doesn't matter what book. This is where you want to be. It's a one-stop shop on walterfootball.com. Anything you want to add? I thought that was pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I in fact, like BetMGM, I actually I took money out last week. I put money back in this week, and they gave me $200 for a $400 deposit. I'm like, wow, this is pretty crazy. Right? I didn't. Yeah, today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, seriously, like they do that like once a month or something like that. So yeah, definitely. I think it's so important to have accounts in multiple sports books. Like not only are you just shopping for the best number, but you're also going to get promos. You're going to get more promos. And like getting these free bets is so important because you have to counter the big. Like you have to beat the minus 110. You can't go 50-50. If you go 50-50 on standard bets, you're going to lose. You have to hit 52.3% of your bets. And like a way to counter that without being like great is to just get bonus bets. And then you don't have to hit 52.3 to break even. So it's incredibly important just to have that.
I don't know where you're going to go here. I have no idea. Neither of us have any idea on the other side. Let's get as crazy as George Costanza once said. Let's get nuts.
Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
What was that? Was that the one where they drove out to Long Island?
Yeah. It was that. It's that the Hamptons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. When he's just looking out the window, let's get nuts.
Yeah. I love that episode. One of my favorites.
Yes.
So I have like something that's not nuts, but I have something else that is nuts, but I can't find the prop. I'm actually hoping that you have or you've seen it. But I have some like inside information for that one. But let's do it. Well, the one that
you want to build up to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The one that this is something I do every Super Bowl, at least in games that I think are going to be close. Chiefs to win by 1 to 6 points on BetMGM, plus 333. 49ers to win by 1 to 6 points at BetMGM's plus 310. Now, if you haven't figured it out, like you can't win both, but you can win one of them. Kind of like your McCaffrey / Pacheco runs. And I think this is gonna be a close game. I'd be shocked if it's a blowout. Like even if one team's up like 17 points, I think the other is gonna make the game close. So 1 to 6 on both sides. If you all you need to do is win one, and you're going to profit. So this is something I do. Like I said, I do in almost every Super Bowl, unless I think it's like super lopsided. And I don't think this is very lopsided.
So we did this last year because I remember tailing you right on this side.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also another play that you gave out that we smashed. And I remember tailing that too. I think it was Philly KC halftime, full time, correct?
The one easy prop we had last year was Jalen Hurts over rushing yards.
But there was a game prop. I'm sorry, Walt. There was something similar to this that was like margin of victory, win. Maybe I thought it was like win the first half. You're right with the Hurts one. I didn't mean to jump in. I was just saying like there was something that's similar to this that we played last year that was smashed. It was like 350.
Yeah, I think it was like second half over points compared to the first half.
Okay, that might have been it. Yep. I know. So, we're a year out, so both of our memories are shot from kids.
Oh yeah, 2 kids. Yeah, that'll do it. I think I usually like that. I didn't take that this year because the Chiefs seems to be more of a first half team. So if anything, I think that going first half to outscore the second half is the way to go there. And in fact, I think the Chiefs to score on their opening drive, I think I saw plus 130. I don't mind that at all because I think in their past 6 or 7 playoff games, eight games. Okay. Yeah. In the past 8 playoff games. Yeah. They scored either a touchdown or a field goal. So
correct. We had that last time out against Baltimore, winning the first quarter. It's all winning the first quarter, scoring a touchdown on the first drive, which again took Andy Reid and a massive set of stones going for it on 4th down on your opening drive on the road. My God, but what a sweat that was. And we had them scoring on the opener because you're right. 8 straight playoff games. The Chiefs have put up points in an opening drive. It's just insane to see that continue. All right. Now you said you have inside information.
Yeah, I'm not going to say where this came from.
You don't have to. You don't have to reveal any sources, Walt. Right. If you say you have inside info, I know it's legit.
I can't find this prop to save my life. I'm looking all over the place. Maybe it's not available in Pennsylvania, but number of Jets at the Super Bowl. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, like the flyover Jets. I would go over. I think like someone told me the prop is 3.5 or 4.5. I heard it's gonna be 6. So if you can find that somewhere, please let me know. I can't, like I said, I can't find it anywhere. I know that some bets are restricted depending on what state you are. Like you can't bet like the halftime show in some states. Actually, there are 3 states where you can't even bet MVP. I can't remember what they are, but
New York.
yeah, it's
New
weird.
York,
I don't know why.
Anything that's voted on, Walt. New York State, you can anything that requires a vote, you can't bet.
Okay,
it's insane.
Yeah, that's one of them. There are like 2 others. I think like one's
I don't know the other. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, there are restrictions and everything. So maybe I can't find it because I'm in PA, which like you said, we have to travel across the bridge to do stuff. I go to Trenton Thunder Stadium every Wednesday to put in DraftKings lineup or Rainmakers lineups. It's such a headache. It's horrible, but yeah, it's
this is a new level of depth into the Walter football mind right now.
It's horrible. I just sit in the parking lot for 2 hours and enter this lineup. I know you could do it. You could submit a spreadsheet, but it's the way they have it is just such a headache. So I don't know. I just listen to a podcast. I just do it. I'm like by myself to make sure I lock the doors and everything. So I'm okay.
No, I get it, man. I think at this point, and I don't know if you I think you may have to. I think you may have to go outside of not state, but outside of the country, if you know what I mean, as far as to bet this one here. That's all, because I don't think you'll be able to get this legally, at least. But look, we're all on some site that is offshore, so let's not hold or pull any punches. This is a great bet. It was on there last year, and I think similar information got out, and it was like leaked, and then all of a sudden it was taken down from every book. So yeah, this is a good one. I love that one. Over 2.5, 3.5. F-16s, we assume, right, to fly over here. All right, my brother, I'm going to throw a couple at you here, rapid fire. You ready?
Let's go.
My son needs another bottle. As you can tell. 1 second, buddy, okay? So first one, again, it's 14-1 when I bet it. It's now down less, and let me just triple check this on FanDuel, but it's down to, I believe, 980 on FanDuel, and I normally it's the octopus, and I took it at 14-1 because I figured you've got a couple of guys in here. Yeah, it's plus 980, Walt, on FanDuel. It's been steamed down so much. The reason why I took it was simple. Much like we saw Jalen Hurts last year, the best guy, you always want to have the ball in that guy's hands when it comes to a 2-point conversion. I actually think it's a bonus to have McCaffrey, Samuel, Kelsey, Pacheco, even the quarterbacks, if there's a small chance that there's a penalty, and that's why a team goes for 2. I feel like there are a bunch of guys you can point to and say, if Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan need a 2-point conversion in the Super Bowl, they're not going to go to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No knock, but I just think this is a pretty good bet. I'm not betting it at plus 980. I'm not betting it at 11-1 on DK, but I'm okay at 14-1 when I had it.
Yeah, you hit this last year with Hurts. What were the odds on that? 14-1, nice. Yeah, 980 doesn't seem great, but yeah, I mean, if you can get 14-1 or something close to that, I think I like that a lot because like the production for these teams is so consolidated. These teams don't really spread the ball around too much, especially the Niners. So yeah, if the Niners are down like we think they will be, they're more likely to go for 2. And yeah, it could be double McCaffrey, could be double Devo, could be double Kittle. Like I like that a lot.
So I'll throw one more at you real quick. It's not like this wacky long shot, 25, 30, 100,000 to 1. It's only plus 138, but you can bet the distance of the shortest touchdown scored over or under 1.5 yards. I got plus 138 for over 1.5. Look, I get it. If there's a PI in the end zone or if a drive is at the goal line, I'm most likely screwed. But at near plus 140 odds, I thought, yeah, half unit, this is worth a shot.
Yeah, I don't know how to like quantify that. Like, I think I would. Yeah, I'd like to like look at game logs. Like, if I had the time, like we know we both don't have time. Like, if we had time, I would love to like look at game logs and see how often this hits. And you might be onto something there. Like, if this is like truly 50-50, getting plus 138 on a 50-50 shot is like tremendous. Like, if you got like plus 138 on like the coin toss, for example, you would bet that every single time.
Every single time.
Right. Yeah, and you get like minus 104 on the coin toss. But like if this is really 50-50 or something close to it, I like it a plus 138. I just wonder how often it hits. I just don't know that.
Actually, Walt, I am really surprised. Do you see this? It's at even money right now, heads or tails. And to your point, you will not, so long as it's plus 100, you will not find a fairer bet across any sport than a coin toss. It's either going to be heads or tails. And whatever happened to 50, 60,000 times before, you always go into it with a true 50-50 shot. I'm a little surprised here that there's no VIG on this.
Yeah, I am too. It was 104 at FanDuel. So plus 100 is pretty amazing. If you go to a casino, you go to the roulette wheel, there's 0 and double 0. So you don't even get 50-50 on black or red. So yeah, that's pretty great. Like actually it's what it is. It's a 50-50 bet and you get 50-50 odds. So if you want to have fun, there you go. I would not bet anything worse than that, but yeah. All
right. We just laid out a ton of stuff. Hit the thumbs up, head on over to walterfootball.com as we've been telling you here. Odd Shopper, we got some stuff so you can pop in 58% off all Odd Shopper packages. Code is Super Bowl. So we gave you everything across the board. Let's both you and I, and I'm forcing you into a bet, Walt. I'm sorry, but to be fair, I'm not forcing you into how much you can bet. So you could just appease me and put like $5 on this thing.
Okay.
Probably won't, but what do you want? It's your call. I'll tail it, and I will not blame you if it loses. Heads or tails?
It's gonna go with edge, but it's not here. The saying is tails never fails. So with my contrarian brain, I'm going heads.
Love it. All right, there you go. Heads plus 100. Here's the beauty of it. It can't be a bad bet. This is always going to be a good bet. Heads or tails at plus 100, plus 100. Awesome, brother. Anything else you want to get out here? It's been a fantastic year. We're going to do some draft stuff, so don't go anywhere. We have to alert the masses here on the Odd Shopper channel, but Walt and Charlie are doing ahead of the draft. But this is crazy, man. The year flew by. We got to play the contest. We got to talk some playoffs. It's always a blast, man.
It's crazy. I remember meeting before week 1, talking about the week 1 games, and like I felt like yesterday, and the season's over. So yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. Good luck with your bets. Can't wait for the draft. Like you said, we have Charlie Campbell providing inside information on the draft. So I can't wait for that. And then luckily there is no SEC, so we don't get in trouble for that. And if we could also do a Super Bowl 59 odds show. I already like some odds. I'm waiting for all the sports books to post them. But yeah, last year we got lines of 33-1 early. So yeah, if you get some numbers early, like they'll move. So it's important to get them as soon as they come out.
I love it, man. I was even thinking, like, is there hope at 50-1 with our Vikings ticket that we had last year going in with all the court? Like, I thought Big Joe was going to come in and save the season. All the other, no.
Kirk Cousins, like he got hurt, and that was it. Like they were looking good, and then their defense improved late in the year. I think if Cousins was there, they would have made the playoffs and they would have made some noise.
So Twitter, it's your name on Twitter, right? I don't know anybody's Twitter unless I see it on the bottom. So
yeah, at Walter Football, yeah.
Okay. It is Walter Football.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's not the @ it's the name that pops up, like Eytan
Right.
after me. At Shander Show for me, at Walter Football. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. We'll see you all draft. We'll see you all for a Super Bowl 59 show. We got a lot of stuff going on here. The NFL season may end, but not us. Thanks again. Appreciate you all for hanging.